From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Welcome to the Fbx Evening News. Our top story: the Alaska Senate passed a resolution calling for any special session that might be called after the regular session adjourns this year to be held in a community on the state's road system.
That's right. The measure passed 13-7 with Juneau Senator Dennis Egan among those arguing against it. Juneau is Alaska's capital and accessible by air or water. Debate on the resolution came with less than 20 days and big issues remaining in the session. Governor Walker has warned that legislators could face a special session if they don't pass a complete fiscal plan. Senate Finance Co-Chair Anna McKinnon was a yes vote today, but also urged the body to finish business on time.
Let's get the job done. Let's get it done in 90 days. Let's get to the bargaining table on that operating budget and the capital budget, and let's make those compromises, and let's have a balanced budget and have the project done in 90 days.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough School District Administration held a final public hearing about its approved operating budget last night. However, only a few people showed. The 2016-17 district operating budget was approved by the school board last week, but officials say there could be numerous future amendments due to changes in fund appropriations from their two main sources of revenue. Those two sources, the Fairbanks North Star Borough and the Alaska State Legislature, have yet to finish their own budgeting sessions. The school district will present its budget to the Borough Assembly on April 7th. Superintendent Karen Gaborik says the district is depending on an increase to the state's base student allocations, which makes up the bulk of funding for school districts statewide.
I don't know if the impact will be on the base student allocation. I think it might come from other areas, but the borough is under pressure as well. I mean, some municipalities are having to deal with some reduced funding. I think given the situation that the state is in, we need to be ready. And so what I've been trying to do is prep the school board and the district and stakeholders for the possibilities. And then when the time comes, we really carefully consider all of these positions and make some decisions, some final decisions around that.
The Alaska Department of Public Safety has announced that the Alaska State Troopers will have a limited law enforcement presence at this year's Arctic Man, April 4th through the 9th. Public Safety Commissioner Gary Folger says that after consulting with Governor Walker's office, he has agreed to provide law enforcement personnel in the best interests of keeping public safety a priority. Enhanced highway traffic enforcement will be in effect, along with search and rescue troopers on standby for immediate response in the event they are needed. Troopers had originally announced that they probably wouldn't cover Arctic Man at all this year due to budget cuts.
It's not always that we get to see a crime caught on tape, but cameras were rolling yesterday as a local store manager ran after a burglar on a wild chase all over College Road area. We have more in this report.
Yesterday, a man was caught on tape appearing to steal a $700 digital scanner from Radio Shack on College Road. This alleged crook was no match for the store's manager, Lee Stratton, who, with the help of a Good Samaritan, chased him out of the store and through the neighboring community.
Well, he ran out and he ran around the building, and we have a back door here, so I ran through the back door, and as did my employee, and we saw him fall on his face. Then he got back up, and then the Good Samaritan, we yelled at him to follow him, and he ran down the road by the park.
The manager followed the suspect around the neighborhood, and the alleged thief ran into the back door of Collegetown Pizzeria. The pizzeria dishwasher, Vincent Lee, said the man looked suspicious from the start.
This dude walks in from right through the dish pit, like, my coworker and I are standing over there, we're talking about something, I don't remember what, but then he just like walks through, he's on his phone, walking real shady like, and I was like, nah, let's not judge this guy, he might be here to clock in. And then he goes into the bathroom, and that's when I tell the person who was out back smoking to lock the doors, and then 10 squad cars show up.
The law enforcement officers surrounded the College Mall, emptying the pizzeria and the Japanese steakhouse next door. The suspect was apprehended by the troopers and was identified as 29-year-old Lucas Shar of Fairbanks. Shar has a past history of crime, including assaults and theft charges dating back as far as 2006. Shar was remanded at FCC and charged with misdemeanor theft. The Radio Shack manager says he takes shoplifting like this personal because it affects his livelihood.
People tell me don't take it personal, but it is personal because, that comes out of my budget or the store, and I get paid on that budget, and And for people just to come in and think they can take stuff without paying for it, it just doesn't make sense.
Sarah Dabowski reporting.
When we come back, time is winding down for you to get your applications in for this year's Permanent Fund Dividend.
Also, in this week's military report, Monty Bowen will tell you about a special celebration this Saturday for Vietnam veterans. Stay with us.
Welcome back. The Alaska Permanent Fund Dividend deadline is fast approaching for all Alaska residents. The PFD deadline is March 31st, and that is tomorrow at midnight. If applying by paper, Alaskan residents will have to have it postmarked by that time. That means getting it to the post office before it closes so that the documents can be postmarked. If applying online, you have until midnight to submit your application. If it's not submitted by midnight, you'll get kicked out of the system and it won't be a valid application. Staff at the Alaska Permanent Fund Dividend, like Ann Wesky, are encouraging everyone who is an Alaskan resident and thinks they're eligible to apply.
One of the things that we're trying to really make sure people understand is you have to file by the 31st at midnight, but you don't have to sign your application by then. As long as you've submitted your application, we'll give you time after the deadline to complete the signature page.
All of the signs of spring are becoming more obvious every day. The temperature is consistently in the 40s, snow is disappearing, and something is going on at Kramer's Field. That something is a tradition that happens when the staff at Fish and Game plow the fields in preparation for the barley seed that will be spread over the area for the arrival of the first waterfowl of the season. Last year, the first Canadian geese arrived on the 6th of April, but the staff is taking no chances this year on being unprepared.
Yeah, yesterday the fields were cleared, plowed with lanes. Lanes grain will be put down on Saturday. For the waterfowl, we expect to arrive real soon. The earliest ever arrival was April 1st, so the geese are probably on their way. It's tradition here. It started in the days of World War II with the Tanana Valley Sportsmen's Association given permission by the Creamer family, and it's carried on today.
Yesterday was Vietnam Veterans Day in Alaska, and a special observance of the day is set for this weekend in Fairbanks. Monty Bowen has details now in this week's military report.
March 29th is Vietnam Veterans Day as proclaimed by Governor Sean Parnell in 2013. It's been 50 years since the conflict started and the 40th anniversary of when U.S. troops were withdrawn. Saturday, a welcome home event for Vietnam vets will be held at the Friends Church on 30th Avenue from 1 until 3 p.m.
The thing that I would like to do is invite all of the Vietnam vets who have never had a welcoming home, because we never did when we were out of the military and came back. This is a welcoming home for Vietnam vets, their families, Gold Star families that have lost people in Vietnam, and for all other veterans, you are welcome.
While on active duty during the Vietnam era, many military members were met with protests and sometimes violence, called names and directed by their higher-ups not to wear their uniforms off base.
The recognition for Vietnam vets has been totally negligent from the public, from the military, from any of our state of Alaska, the governor, and Vietnam Vets Commemoration Day started 2 years ago. This is our third time, and that was 40 years after the fact. So yes, it has been a long time coming.
One of the organizers of this Saturday's event is not a Vietnam vet, but has put in a lot of time and effort to make sure they are recognized for their service.
Anytime that someone risks their life for that of another, they should be acknowledged for that. And they should be appreciated, and they, should be commemorated in some kind of way. And this is my opportunity to give back to those who paved the way for me.
Mashery Dunbar is a veteran of 2 combat tours in Iraq. She remembers what it was like when she came home.
You get off the plane, you come into the airport, and for us, being an Iraqi veteran, there were people lining the hallways and lining the airport with balloons and flyers and posters, and it was such a warm welcome, and they were so appreciative of the fact that we were willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice to stand up for their rights. And this is something that Vietnam veterans didn't get, and it's a heartbreaking story to me.
This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The military report is brought to you by Kendall Auto of Fairbanks.
Joe Cook is up next with sports, and we'll give you the info on the last series of the regular season for the Fairbanks Ice Dogs.
Also, how many teams will go to the state volleyball tournament? Well, that's been up for discussion. He'll have more after the break. Joe will.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. Time for the Wednesday Sportscast. This week is the final week of the 2015-2016 regular season for the NHL leading Fairbanks Ice Dogs. They host in-state rival Kenai River for a 3-game series that starts this Thursday night at 7 p.m. in the Big Dipper Ice Arena. It should be a fun and emotional series with a pretty significant milestone at stake. The Ice Dogs will win one game. They can clinch the regular season league title and set a record for points in the season. Not only will the players skate in front of their home fans, but their parents and billet families will be in attendance for Parents Weekend. Sunday there will be a $100 raffle and spaghetti feed as well. But this series wouldn't be complete without a patented jersey auction from General Manager Rob Profit. Thursday's game sponsor is the Central Labor Council, which helps union workers. Profit believes this series and this weekend is what the Ice Dogs are all about.
The jersey auction, and then as far as the union stuff and the Central Labor Council, I just think it's who we are, right? It's an identity of who we are, of a hardworking community, and hopefully people look at our hockey team as a hardworking hockey team, and together those two blend into a nice partnership.
Well, it's very exciting. I know it's breakup season. The weather's getting a little nicer. It's getting a little lighter out, so guys have some more smiles on their faces, and their parents are in town, and they're excited. They're excited to have 3 games here in the Dipper and have a little fun, and we're going to need to work hard to have success.
A young hockey player with ties to the Golden Heart City will be heading to the NHL. Mario Lucia recently signed to the Minnesota Wild. Lucia was born in Fairbanks, and he is the son of former UAF and UAA hockey coach Don Lucia. Don is currently the head coach for the Minnesota Gophers. Mario grew up in Plymouth, Minnesota, and was an alternate captain for the University of Notre Dame. The left winger finished with 110 points in his career for the Fighting Irish. As a part of his entry-level deal, he'll be assigned to the Iowa Wild of the AHL. Lucia was a 2011 second-round draft choice of the Wild in that entry draft. There could be some changes to state tournament berths for high school volleyball teams in the near future. According to a recent article in the Daily Newsmire, the ASAA is mulling over having a 3rd state tournament berth for the Aurora Conference and South Central Conference. The berth will alternate from year to year. Both conferences have 6 teams, but currently South Central gets 3 state berths, while the Aurora gets 2. The extra berth would help some of the better interior teams. A senior-laden 2014 Hutchinson team finished 3rd in the Aurora, and Allison could have gone last year if there was a 3rd state berth. The state champion has been from the Aurora or South Central Conference since 2008. Local Aurora coaches have been advocating for this for a few years, and it came up in a February ASAA board meeting. The ASAA will discuss the alternating 3rd state berth again in their next board meeting, which is April 24th through the 26th at Prince of Wales Island in Klawock, Alaska. This week you can feel the rhythm and feel the vibe because it's Bonspiel time. Almost messed that up there, but there will be some cool runnings of rinks at the Fairbanks Curling Club as they host the 81st International Bonspiel. 35 teams will compete for Bonspiel titles this year. 11 women's teams or rinks and 24 men's rinks make up the field. Whitehorse, Yukon, Wisconsin, and Anchorage will be represented as well. Unlike more of the serious events, this one is a lot more laid back. This year's theme is the Battle of the Bands. I grew up in the South, and I remember bands and marching bands fondly. It will be fun to see what costumes will be like this year. 4 bands are scheduled to perform at the Bonspiel as well. Opening ceremonies are Thursday night at 6 p.m., and the first matches will be at 7 p.m. There will be curling all day and night through the weekend, with the final matches set for 1 p.m. on Sunday. And a final note, go to USA Today, HSS.com and vote for the best athletic program in Alaska. All the Alaska high schools are there. Voting ends this Friday, 10 a.m. Alaska time. State winners will go into the group stage, and then the final round is in May. First place gets $2,500 and a banner. For more info on this, visit the story on webcenter11.com sports page. But that's it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with weather, and we'll catch you next time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back into some weather for tonight. Mike Schultz with you once again. And it looked threatening all day long, but I didn't see a whole lot. A few sprinkles. That's about it. We're not quite out of the woods yet. There's still a little more coming our direction. In fact, looking at our latest satellite radar, you can see on the radar there is a little bit of blue here that's trying to work its way through the passes into our area, but it looks like most of it's getting washed out. So all the energy now has moved over to the eastern or western side of the state, and over the eastern side, things are looking pretty good too, and warm too. We're talking about some really warm temperatures. In fact, looking at temperatures for our area today, 43 degrees, the low last night 24, the record high 52, that was in 1993. 40 below in 1944. Your sunrise and sunset 13 hours and 28 minutes, a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. And the state looks like this. Again, temperatures are warming up at Ketchikan, 55 degrees for their high today. They're going to be in the 60s tomorrow. 51 at Juneau, Anchorage 48 degrees, Kodiak looking at 45 and some showers. By the way, Anchorage will be in the 50s tomorrow. Along the Aleutian chain, Coal Bay looking at 45, partly cloudy skies, clear to partly cloudy up and down the west coast. A little chilly still around the Nome area, 16 degrees there. Barrow above the 0 mark, 1 degree above, and Fort Yukon, cloudy skies and 21 degrees. Lower 48 weather, well, that storm system we're looking at on the west coast has moved over to the Central Plains, and as you can see here, we're getting some very violent activity out ahead of this frontal boundary here where the cooler air is meeting that Gulf moisture, and that's responding to being shown by the oranges and reds there, showing very heavy thunderstorm activity. In fact, the latest is showing again tomorrow more severe storms breaking out across the deep south. Behind the frontal boundary, drying out very nicely, and out ahead of it, warm air coming on. And in the latest update on our jet stream is showing once again a little bit of a dip down to the eastern side of the states over the weekend, which means cooler air and possibly some mixed rain and snow there with showers over the northwest, but nice weather over the central and southern plains. All right, time once again for our kids' weather. And all this week we're talking with the kids from Badger Road Elementary School. Tonight, here's a young lady with a question for me.
Hi, my name is JC. I'm in Miss Castle's 5th grade class at Badger Road Elementary. Here's my question for the weatherman. What is temperature inversion?
Well, Fairbanks is great for having temperature inversions in the wintertime. It's when the warmer air overruns the top of the colder air and just traps it there, and that's what gets all the pollutants going, and the cold air can't break out until possibly you get some winds in to move it out. But that is a great example of temperature inversion, and thanks for that question. Again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And tomorrow night, the teacher's going to be here with a cool weather fact about lightning strikes. All right, forecasts look like this for the northern sections. Partly cloudy skies expected at Barrow, scattered clouds in Nome, and lingering snow for Fort Yukon, which should amount to about 1 to 3 inches is what they're looking at right now. Here in the interior, things look a lot better. Rain and snow slowly ending in Fairbanks, mostly sunny skies for Healy and Delta Junction. Over southeast Alaska, there's the warm temperatures I was telling you about. Sunny for Juneau, mostly sunny and warm for Ketchikan. 63 at Ketchikan, 60 at Juneau. And down to the southwest part of the state, looking at snow becoming rain in Coal Bay, cloudy skies at Kodiak. A couple inches of snow is still possible in Bethel. And down around the Anchorage Bowl, well, temperatures warming up there too. 52 in Anchorage tomorrow, 51 at Homer, with mostly sunny and mild conditions in Anchorage at Homer, and lots of sunshine also likely at Valdez. So warmer air moving in, clearing the skies out too. And our forecast looks like this, looking at cloudy skies, scattered rain and snow showers, mainly at the higher elevations, 30 degrees for the overnight low. Pretty warm. And tomorrow's forecast, looking at any snow and rain we have, should be diminishing by afternoon with a high about 44 degrees. The extended forecast, talk about your consistency, looking at 40-degree temperatures until Monday or Tuesday, then we slowly start warming back up again, 43 to 42. Overnight lows will also be very comfortable with right around 20 degrees for the overnight low. Our photograph for tonight, this was an interesting one, sent in by Douglas Miller. He was able to capture a halo around the sun. And as always, if you have a photograph to share, send it to photos@ktvf11.com.
All right, thank you, Mike. I guess we're just going to expect this kind of weather for the rest of the week then.
It looks like it. It looks like it warming up next week back into the mid-40s again.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Arctic
like it.
Man.
Arctic Man, that's
Yes,
right.
Arctic Man.
Yeah,
Thursday.
they got tons of snow there too, by the way.
Very
Tons
good.
of snow.
All right. Thanks, Mike. That'll wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're glad you could join us.
Well, tonight on NBC Nightly News, there's a report that ISIS may have been planning an assassination of a European head of state. That's up next with Lester Holt.
KTUU, our NBC affiliate in Anchorage, is broadcasting a town hall meeting about Alaska's fiscal crisis at 7 this evening, and that will be broadcast right here on KTVF.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a spectacular night.
Spectacular.